Danny Masterson, a familiar face from that '70s show, now faces a stark reality far removed from the spotlight. The actor, once known for his comedic roles, is now known for a much darker chapter in his life. In May 2023, a Los Angeles jury found him guilty on 2 counts of rape, stemming from incidents 2 decades prior. The trial was closely followed by the media and the public, highlighting the severity of the accusations. The accusations, brought forth by 3 women through the Church of Scientology, cast a dark shadow over the actor's life and career. These women bravely came forward, seeking justice and accountability. The guilty verdict resulted in a sentence of 30 years to life, which Masterson is currently serving at the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo. This prison, known for housing high-profile inmates, is now Masterson's new home. Despite the gravity of the charges, Masterson and his legal team are seeking justice through the appellate process. They believe there were significant errors made during the trial that need to be addressed. His attorney, Cliff Gardner, has filed a comprehensive appeal, outlining perceived flaws and injustices in the original trial. Gardner is known for his expertise in handling complex appellate cases. We delve into the arguments presented, their legal basis, and their potential impact on the appellate court's decision. The outcome of this appeal could significantly alter Masterson's future. At the heart of Masterson's appeal lies the assertion that he was denied a fair trial, a fundamental right in the American justice system. The defense team, led by Gardner, is adamant that the trial was marred by significant procedural errors. Gardner argues that critical evidence, which could have swayed the jury, was unjustly excluded. This evidence, he claims, was pivotal in establishing Masterson's innocence. This exclusion, he contends, hampered the defense's ability to present a robust case. Without this evidence, the jury was left with an incomplete picture of the events. Another key argument centers around the credibility and motives of the witnesses. Gardner meticulously dissects their testimonies, pointing out numerous inconsistencies. Gardner posits that the women who accused Masterson had a vested financial interest in securing his conviction. He suggests that their motives were not purely about seeking justice. Furthermore, Gardner highlights inconsistencies in the accuser's testimonies, which should have been given more weight by the defense. These discrepancies, he argues, cast doubt on the reliability of their statements. These arguments raise serious questions about the fairness and integrity of the original trial. The defense believes that these issues were not adequately addressed during the initial proceedings. The appellate court must now grapple with these complex legal issues and determine whether Masterson's right to a fair trial was compromised. The outcome of this appeal could have far-reaching implications for the justice system. The credibility of witness testimony forms a cornerstone of any trial, and Masterson's case is no exception. Gardner, in his appeal, dissects the testimonies of the 3 accusers, highlighting inconsistencies and contradictions. These discrepancies, he argues, cast doubt over the reliability of their accounts. One central point of contention revolves around the evolving nature of the accusations. Gardner suggests that differences in the details provided by the women over time may have been influenced by external factors. Furthermore, Gardner emphasizes the potential for bias stemming from the accuser's financial interests. As plaintiffs in civil suits against Masterson, they stood to gain financially from his conviction. The appellate court will need to scrutinize the witnesses' testimonies, taking into account the alleged inconsistencies and potential biases. The statute of limitations, a legal principle that sets a time limit for filing charges, adds another layer of complexity to Masterson's appeal. This legal concept is designed to ensure that cases are prosecuted while evidence is still fresh and witnesses' memories are reliable. Gardner contends that the prosecution grouped the charges under California's one-strike law to circumvent the statute of limitations. This law allows for harsher penalties for certain serious crimes, but its application in this case is under scrutiny. This maneuver, Gardner argues, resulted in a harsher sentence for Masterson. He believes that the charges should have been considered separately, which might have led to a different outcome. He posits that the legislature did not intend for the one-strike law to be used in this manner. The original intent was to target repeat offenders, not to bypass procedural safeguards like the statute of limitations. The appellate court will need to determine whether the prosecution's grouping of the charges was legally sound or constituted an overreach. This decision will require a careful interpretation of both the statute of limitations and the one-strike law. The outcome of this legal debate could have significant implications for the case. It could set a precedent for how similar cases are handled in the future. If the appellate court sides with Gardner's interpretation, it could lead to a reduction in Masterson's sentence, or even a retrial. This would be a significant development in the ongoing legal battle. Beyond the broader arguments, Masterson's appeal raises concerns about specific procedural and evidentiary rulings made during the trial. Gardner argues that these rulings unfairly disadvantage the defense. One point of contention involves the court's decision to allow the prosecution to ask a detective whether he believed the accusers had contaminated the case. Another issue is the court's denial of defense subpoenas for communications between the accusers. Gardner argues that these communications could have contained exculpatory evidence or revealed further inconsistencies. These procedural and evidentiary concerns go to the heart of due process and fair trial rights. The appellate court must consider whether these rulings deprived Masterson of a fair opportunity to defend himself. The outcome of this review could significantly impact the case. Adding another layer of complexity to the appeal is the role of Scientology, both Masterson's religious beliefs and the organization itself. Gardner argues that Masterson's religious rights were infringed upon due to a court environment hostile to Scientology. He contends that the admission of testimony about Scientology created an unfair bias against his client. Gardner suggests that the prosecution exploited public misconceptions of Scientology to paint Masterson in a negative light. Furthermore, Gardner contends that the court's handling of harassment claims fueled this prejudicial bias. The appellate court must determine whether the admission of Scientology-related testimony was relevant or crossed into prejudicial bias. This decision will impact the fairness of the trial and Masterson's right to a fair trial. As the appellate court weighs the arguments, several potential outcomes loom on the horizon. The court could uphold the original guilty verdict, leaving Masterson to serve his 30-year sentence. Alternatively, the appellate court could overturn the conviction, a significant victory for Masterson. However, an overturned conviction does not equate to innocence. It signifies flaws in the original trial. A third possibility is that the appellate court could remand the case for a new trial. This suggests merit in some arguments but not enough to overturn the conviction outright. A new trial would offer Masterson another opportunity to present his defense. The appellate court's decision will have far-reaching consequences, setting a precedent for future cases involving similar legal issues.